I'll be honest with you, I just could not keep up with all of these different parenting style names that keep on coming out. The day that I read about wabi-sabi parenting was the day that I decided to start this project, because I just needed to get a grip of what all of these different people and all of these different parenting types mean. And this is what I discovered. If you were to Google parenting styles or parenting types, you will inevitably come across the parenting quadrant that Diana Baumrind developed in the 1960s. Her work, which was based on the research of Earl Schaefer, is like the gold standards of all things parenting, and it's actually what I was taught in grad school. The quadrant consists of these two intersecting axes. One is called responsiveness and the other is called demandingness. And the four quadrants it creates denote four different parenting styles: authoritarian, authoritative, permissive, and neglectful. Now, these are fantastic parenting styles, but where do all of the new parenting styles like New Age parenting, helicopter parenting, jellyfish parenting, tiger parenting, dolphin parenting, elephant parenting, koala parenting, the whole parenting style zoo, where do they fit in? My only slight problem with this model is that these broad categories don't really fully capture the complexity and variability of parenting behavior. Parenting styles are much more multidimensional and can vary within individuals based on specific contexts. And there's not much room for that when you can only be in one of four boxes. Now, in reality, parents exhibit a combination of parenting styles, or at least they adjust their parenting style depending on their child's needs and where they are in their development. In my private practice, that is actually something that I encourage. I want parents to be tougher when they need to be, and softer and more warm when that's warranted too. So this model, as great as it is, doesn't really do the down and dirty work that I need it to do in my private practice. If we've not met before, my name is Oliver and I'm a family systems therapist and a parent coach, and I love helping people grow great relationships. If you're interested in finding out your own parenting style, go to mypeoplepatterns.com. There's a free quiz there, and you can download a 15 or 16 page PDF that goes into much more detail on parenting and gives you a full assessment. In order to make sense of all of these different parenting styles, and there seems to be a new one each month, I did a deep dive into parenting styles. I deconstructed Diana Baumrind's parenting quadrants to create 5 dials of parenting. And these really change my understanding of parenting, and I hope they really help you out too. So if you understand more about your parenting style as I describe these scales, that would be great. But if you're a parent, the most important thing you need to hold on to or look out for is psychological autonomy. It's a vital and overlooked part of parenting psychology that I'm highlighting in my anti-anxiety parenting course, Grounded Parenting. Let's deconstruct these two axes that Diana Baumrind put together. The first axis is called responsiveness. It's all about how emotionally responsive a parent is to their child. Baumrind based this scale on Earl Schaefer's ideas about how a parent needs to be accepting and not rejecting. But she wanted to add something about how emotionally warm parents are. And I actually love both of these ideas, and I think they should be pulled apart and kept separate. So acceptance is one of the dials for sure. But Diana Baumrind's ideas on how warm and loving parents need to be in order to raise healthy, happy kids are just as important as acceptance. So I separated that out, and that becomes a second dial called warmth. The other axis, demandingness, is very important to break down. It was again based on the research of Earl Schaefer, who identified that kids need 3 things from their parents in order to grow up to be well-adjusted young people. He said that parents need to be accepting and not rejecting. We've got that one. Parents need to have control of their kids' behavior. And also, parents need to give their kids the freedom to be themselves, which we now call psychological autonomy. Baumrind combined control of behaviors with her own ideas about parents' expectations of their children. She saw that some parents can have very high and very clear expectations of their children, while others don't. She combined expectations and control of behaviors to create this scale of demandingness, but she completely threw out of the window psychological autonomy, which for me is the missing piece in this puzzle. In Parenting Deep Dive, I pulled out all of these scales into separate elements. And now we've got 5 dials of parenting: warmth, acceptance, control of behaviors, psychological autonomy or control of autonomy, and expectations. Warmth is the aspect that refers to the emotional connection and affection that parents express towards their children. You can imagine that a warm, nurturing environment helps children feel loved and secure and supported, and that is essential for their emotional well-being. Acceptance is all about accepting and not rejecting your child, embracing their unique qualities, their strengths, as well as their weaknesses and flaws. By being accepting and not rejecting, you create this safe space for your child to grow up and get that sense of identity and security from. And that really helps with self-esteem and resilience. So control of behaviors. As a parent, you do need to set boundaries and enforce rules to help your child develop self-discipline and learn the difference between right and wrong. Now, some people will object to this idea of controlling behaviors, but to some degree, we have to do it to keep our kids alive. No, honey, you can't run out into the middle of the road like that, or don't touch the hot oven, you'll get hurt. We control kids' behaviors to varying degrees, and ultimately, as they get older, we want to control them less. So expectations is about setting clear and realistic expectations for your children's behaviors, their achievements, their responsibilities. That helps build self-esteem, confidence, that helps them feel capable. And achievable expectations can inspire your child to strive for success and reach their full potential. But these expectations have to be communicated clearly. So the child has to know what you're looking for. Otherwise, there's a lot of mixed messages and confusion, and the child gets a bit lost knowing what is expected of them. Control of autonomy or psychological autonomy is about giving the child the freedom to explore themselves, make decisions on their own, and learn from their behavior. Control of autonomy or psychological autonomy is all about giving the child the freedom to explore themselves and make decisions on their own and kind of mess them up and make and learn from their failures once in a while. Providing this sense of autonomy, you encourage your child to develop independence, problem-solving skills, and a sense of responsibility. The opposite of autonomy is dependency, and a newborn baby is entirely dependent on you for literally everything. So the idea is as the child gets older, they become less and less dependent on you as you grant them more psychological autonomy. So as your child gets older, you want to give them more freedom to be themselves and understand and explore who they are. So those are the 5 dials. And I have this vision of them being like dials in a recording studio when you're mixing all of the different levels of instruments and vocals to get the perfect song. Each of these 5 dials, each of these 5 aspects of parenting is on its own sliding scale, so you can set them to whatever level you want. And what I love about these being dials is that they have an infinite number of combinations to reflect the infinite number of parenting styles there are. Dials are flexible and fluid. You can adjust dials. So if you want to work on lowering your control of behaviors, that's totally doable. If you want to work on being more accepting, that's achievable too. Things are always much more empowering when we're given options to change them rather than being put into a box. So now that we've got this understanding of the 5 parenting dials, let's see how they apply to the various parenting styles we commonly see today. Generally, helicopter parents have high settings on warmth, acceptance, and control of behavior. They show a great deal of affection and interest in their child's lives and tend to maintain kind of strict control over their behaviors, especially when they're younger. However, they often have a very high setting on the control of autonomy dial and a medium to high setting on expectations, which can really limit their child's independence, the capacity they have to be an individual, and puts a lot of pressure on them to meet their parents' standards. That jellyfish parents, on the other hand, have very, very high settings on warmth and acceptance and show a great deal of warmth and love and nurturing and accept their children's unique qualities and very warm, yummy people. However, they tend to have a very low setting on control of behaviors, expectations, and a high setting on control of autonomy. This can lead to a lack of structure, potentially leaving children unprepared for the challenges they face in adulthood. Perhaps the exact opposite of that is free-range parents who prioritize their children's autonomy. Their control of autonomy dial is very low, with a lot of warmth and a lot of acceptance and low control of behaviors. This gives the child a lot of freedom to understand and explore the world around them. Free-range parenting is very misunderstood. I think a lot of people think that you're just letting kids run riot. But rather than keeping your kids in a cage in a zoo, free-range parents are like letting them go on safari in a park. So there's boundaries around what the kids can do, but they are given a lot of freedom, but it's within context, it's within a safe space. Parents are controlling what they can, while also giving their children maximum independence. Tiger parents are known for their strict, demanding approach, so you can imagine that their control of behaviors and expectations is very high. There's a misconception that their settings of warmth and acceptance are moderate or low. I think that is a bit of a stereotype because I think tiger parents really do love their kids. Perhaps they can be perceived as being cold or not quite as warm and yummy, but I think every tiger parent just loves their kid and wants what's best for them. The control of autonomy dial, though, in a tiger parent is set very high, and children of tiger parents often feel very controlled, which can make them depressed in later life or rebellious as they turn into young adults. So that is my little crash course in parenting styles. I hope that helps you. Don't forget to download the free parenting assessment on mypeoplepatterns.com. Check out our website and our YouTube page. There's lots more videos on parenting, parenting styles, and leave me a comment or a question if you have them. I'd be happy to explain.